Once again, this is 9.09er Ielts Review Center. Earlier, for the first part of our video presentation, we talked about an overview of the examination. Now, let's take a look at the 4 subtests in the Ielts. So, let me divide this into 2 portions. The first one, written exams, listening, reading, writing. And the second one, speaking subtest. So, in the written exams, they're always conducted in this order. Listening always comes first, followed by reading and writing. Now, listening is exactly the same for academic and general training candidates. So, let us compare pen and paper listening versus computer-delivered listening. When Ielts was first introduced in 1989, it was just pen and paper version. But in 2018, computer-delivered version was introduced to the Philippines. So, what's the difference? For pen and paper Ielts, you're provided with a test paper and you're using Mongol number 2. But what about computer-delivered Ielts? There are certain test supervisors who don't give you any scratch paper at all. So now, that means to say, people usually ask me, sir, which one do you recommend? Is it computer-delivered Ielts or pen and paper Ielts? I usually tell them, please do not ask me. Which one do I prefer? Why? That is because they use exactly the same material. So what's the difference between the two? Where you are taking the test. If you are the kind of person who is technologically savvy and you're familiar with a QWERTY keyboard, then go for computer-delivered Ielts. But if you are quite traditional, like me, I always prefer to have pencil and paper with me, then I choose the traditional pen and paper Ielts. Now, for the listening subtest, I want you to know, pen and paper Ielts will allow you 10 extra minutes after the recording to transfer the answers. But since there is no pen and paper in computer-delivered Ielts, some test supervisors won't give you 10 minutes anymore. They'll just have to give you 2 minutes for you to transfer for you to review your work. No transferring of answers because there's no paper. Now, let's proceed to the second subtest, and that is reading. For pen and paper Ielts, how do you highlight the keywords in the passage? Obviously, you have your Mongol number 2, you have your test paper, so you can underline keywords in the passage. But for computer-delivered Ielts, because there's no test paper, no pen, how do you highlight the keywords in the passage? By using your computer mouse. Now, the advantage of computer-delivered Ielts, for people like me with poor eyesight, you can adjust the font size. Apparently, that's something you cannot do for pen and paper Ielts. And then, for computer-delivered Ielts, the screen is divided into 2. Left-hand side portion of the screen, you will find the passage. And then, right-hand side portion of the screen, you will see the questions. A typical problem for those taking pen and paper Ielts, flip-flopping of pages. But that's something you do not do anymore for computer-delivered Ielts because you can just scroll up and scroll down without shifting from one page to another as the screen is divided into 2. What about the writing subtest? For pen and paper Ielts, you are on your own to determine whether you have reached the minimum number of words. In the case of task 1, that's 150. In the case of task 2, 250. But what about computer-delivered Ielts? Word count is available as a feature. So all you have to do is to direct your attention to the lower right-hand side portion of the screen, and every time you type a word, right here, it is updated. So you don't have to worry about counting the words anymore. Lastly, the speaking subtest is the only subtest in the Ielts that's not conducted together with the written exams. For the simple reason that everyone gets to listen, read, and write all at the same time, but not everyone talks all at the same time. So the speaking subtest is the only one which is not conducted together with the 3. People are thinking, if I take computer-delivered Ielts, do I take the examination in front of a computer for the speaking subtest? Unfortunately not. Speaking is the only subtest which remains face-to-face. So whether it's pen and paper Ielts or computer-delivered Ielts, you still have to go to the facility of British Council or IDP and talk to the examiner in person. So now, that is the second part of our presentation, an overview of the 4 subtests and the differences between pen and paper and computer-delivered Ielts. For our next module is the listening subtest. By the way, if you were not able to watch our first video, I've mentioned that we are offering online review services available for everyone taking the examination worldwide. So, for more details, you can message me on Facebook, that's Ervin Nil Temporal, or you can check our Facebook account, 9.09er IELTS Review Center, with more than 110,000 followers. You can also check our website, www.nineronlinereview.com.